This episode is brought to you by Maestro Sausage, the only sausage we use at Hot Tongue. They produce sausages specifically with pizzerias in mind, and you can tell. So if your sausage isn't hitting all the right notes, let Maestro lead the way. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Alex. That's right. Still last name Koons and still the same podcast, Pie to Pie. We're bringing it to you. We're bringing it to you again. And this one, we sat down with Brian of Rose City Pizza. Yes, Brian was one of the original 5 or 8 guests we had. We were doing the 15 questions, hot and ready. Boom, 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 25-minute pod. Our audio wasn't that great. We were still figuring it out, but you know, that interview was still one of my favorites. I think there was so much to what Brian had brought, and it was really exciting to sit down with him again because he is in such a different spot. Since then, his original location of 15 years in Rosemead had just shut down. Rent was astronomically high if he wanted to re-sign the lease. He had purchased a flower shop years prior, around 2020, and he owns that building and did a full build out, which is where his Rose City Pizza is now. Big things are happening, a lot of changes. The restaurant in Rosemead shutting down, a skate park literally neighboring his business had just opened up the day after we had recorded this pod, and it bring in new business. He had changed his processes and his policies recently. There was a lot of change going on in his restaurant, and it was definitely a great time for us to go to Covina, sit down with Brian. He's one of few owners, if maybe 1, 2 that we've talked to that actually own their building. We didn't really talk about this, but the build out is great. It's such a beautiful space, and you know, it was sad for Brian to have to walk away from Rosemead, but he had to do what he had to do. And that's kind of what this podcast is about, is just doing what you have to do, you know, rolling with the punches. And Brian has been great with that. And we talk about going viral and what that means to actual sales. We talk about how he has downgraded his menu, which has been so important to concentrate on the things that are selling and get rid of the 3-page menu and really streamline stuff. We talk about his conveyor ovens from deck ovens, just all of his processes. He has one of the coolest dough rooms I've ever seen. It's very cool, very clean cut spot. There's a Ninja Turtles arcade game. I know y'all are gonna enjoy this podcast. There is a lot of truth and knowledge in Brian's struggles, his triumphs, where he's going and where he's been. I really hope you enjoy this podcast. I know I did. I always love seeing Brian. Also, if you haven't watched it in a while, do yourself a favor. Go watch Saving Private Ryan, because that's the kind of guy Brian is. He's gonna jump on a grenade for his team, just like we all should. Die for our people out there. Matt Damon, right? Is it Matt Damon who's the prisoner of war? It's a hell of a cast. I think Tom Hanks is in it. I mean, it's a lot of money and time and resources, and a lot of people end up dying for this one person. So if we cut this down to business, I mean, it's time to cut that person loose. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we were in the restaurant industry, it wouldn't be Saving Private Ryan. It'd be saving your restaurant by kind of letting him go. Anyways, we'll cut that out. Saving Private Ryan, one of the greatest American films about war. Everyone enjoy this episode with Brian of Rose City Pizza. Brah, let's go. MailWise Solutions takes advertising to the next level. They design, print, and direct mail, menus, flyers, and postcards for pizzerias all across the United States. I've worked with MailWise before. I tried to design my own menu, and Kevin said, hey, give me a stab at this, and holy shit. When he sent me back the menu, I was like, I thought I was okay at what I did, and his design team blew me away. There's no mailing contracts, so you're free to advertise on your own schedule. Click the link in the show notes or request a sample pack at mailwisesolutions.com. Let's get you some new customers today. I listened to your interview this morning. Our first interview.
Oh, I mean, it's way different now.
It's very, it's very short. It was like 20 minutes. And I think like a lot has happened
Yeah.
Obviously, just like in the last 2 or 3 months for you.
Yeah, it's been go time since the expo.
But we didn't really even get into. I mean, like you talked about like how you worked in New York.
Yeah.
And stuff, and then coming out here and opening up Rose City in Rosemead.
Yeah.
And that was 15 years ago. Yeah. And do you want to talk to, or you want to just tell me about like what it was like having to close that store? We're sitting in Brian's newer store in Covina right now, only store now.
Yeah.
But what was it like having to close that store?
It was very emotional. I started the business with my dad. Doing pizza was actually his idea. So we started it from pretty much the ground up. It was just an empty shell. So a lot of memories there. He never got to see how much of a success it became. He passed away 3 years after opening. So a lot of those memories were there. And I did have like a solid crew that stayed with me, like some of them for 15 years. And I had a feeling they wouldn't be able to follow me here. I offered them all jobs here, but it was just, they live close, so close to Rosemead. It didn't make sense because, they'd pick up their kids in that same city and everything else. So this would just be too out of the way. So it was a lot to try to figure out how to break it to them. But yeah, so that was the main thing. In a way, it was a relief. I felt like I was juggling a lot. It got to the point where I felt like I was overbooking. I was in the hotel industry, so I was like overbooking on the schedule, like because people would be calling off. So there would be an average of 1 to 2 call-offs every weekend. So like, and then I would have to cover those call-offs too.
Yeah.
So it was getting to be too much, like juggling that. Like, every kid wants the weekend off, and I make it clear like weekends are when we need you.
Yeah.
But they come up with excuses like I'm sick, and then you end up having to pay them sick pay. So I'd rather just try to cover it if I could.
Did you have a pretty young staff there?
I had the anchors, which were older.
Yeah.
And they never called off, but the young staff would be there on the weekend because that's when you need the most help. That's when you're busiest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your shop in Rosemead and this one has gone through like a lot of changes. Can you shed some light on maybe like, did you always have younger people working for you? Did it get younger? Was it harder to find people? Because I know you used to have a deck oven. You used to have Baker's Pride.
Yeah.
You've changed to
these edge conveyor
ovens, and you were using a conveyor at Rosemead as well.
Yeah.
Were you using a dough press?
Yeah.
Like all these things to kind of automate the process. What was like the thought process on that? And like, can you explain if your product like suffered or if, it really made it easier to hire and train?
So, I've always had a younger crowd working for me, the majority. And with the younger people, the turnover's a lot quicker. I'm here for the summer, or sometimes they're kind of fickle where it's like, oh, this isn't for me. I get it. That's fine. But the whole training of like stretching the dough and all that, it takes some time to get somebody going well on the dough, stretching the dough. So we use the press. And then the Baker's Pride, like, we're all distracted nowadays. So if you like leave a pie in the oven and like someone calls you over, you burn the pie. So the conveyor, you're never going to burn a pie. Maybe you'll have a pile up, but you're never going to burn a pie. So that's why I did that. My product, we focused more on our unique toppings. So as far as the dough and all that, like people weren't really paying attention to that so much. They were paying more attention to like, whoa, like popcorn chicken, like Taiwanese popcorn chicken at the boba shop on my pizza, cool. Al Pastor, birria, whoa, I get to dip my pizza in there. So they were more into the toppings than maybe like our crust and how that all was. So I felt like, the focus wasn't there, so I could get away with using more automation.
Yeah. Do you use a pizza press here?
No.
Okay.
No. We went back to basics. Yeah.
I mean, I must imagine that using a conveyor oven is much easier to train on. I think that like two of the hardest things in a pizza shop is shelling a pie correctly so that like the dough is completely consistent throughout the whole shell onto a wood paddle.
Yeah.
I mean, and then put into an oven and then rotated and cooked. And when you're turning and burning, 80, 90, 100, 200 pies, you need like an artist on the oven, moving all those around, getting out of the hot spots.
Yeah.
Like with the conveyor, you're stretching that thing to a screen.
Yeah.
You're throwing it in there, and you're getting a consistent bake every time. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's this place is designed to like decrease my anxiety. I love it so far. We can get more into it. Yeah.
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 Well, I mean, when did you decide to start using conveyor over at Rosemead?
During COVID.
Yeah, really?
We couldn't keep up,
Yeah.
dude. Like, it was crazy. Like,
Because you were using both at some point, weren't you?
yeah, we were using a combination, but during COVID we used 2 stacked Baker's Prides, and yeah, we were so busy, and then opening and shutting, like the times would get longer. I felt like people's patience they were very impatient during that time.
Yeah.
They wanted to get in and out because maybe they were afraid they were going to catch something if they were in a crowd. So I had them. That's when I switched to Toast too, where we could like text them. They could wait in their cars. So that helped like big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's during COVID, we couldn't keep up. Pies were burning. So I started looking for other solutions. And that's when the conveyors came up. Yeah.
What were you using before Toast?
It was a U.S. Bank thing.
U.S. Bank has their own POS?
Yeah, Ingenico or something like that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
The big banking system,
Yeah.
getting into POS systems, huh?
Yeah. So we're using them, and they were all right. But the main thing that made me switch to Toast is the whole text thing.
Yeah.
During COVID.
Yeah.
Because then people could wait in their cars.
Of course.
But I love Toast in that they're up to the times. They come up with the newest shit, and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you been here for 2 years? Open?
Yeah. 2 or 3, I lost track. But yeah.
2 or 3?
Yeah.
And it took you 3 years to build this place out.
No, it took me about a year.
Only a year?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had a nightmare build out too.
No.
No, it was like all smooth.
No, it wasn't great.
Because this used to be
a florist.
Yeah,
we
we're
had to
sitting.
pipe in it cost a lot. We had to pipe in the gas,
full electric.
yeah,
you did
full
the whole
electric,
thing.
all that stuff. So it was a basic florist.
I mean,
you know
yeah,
what
this is a big ass space.
Yeah.
I mean, your kitchen's huge.
Yeah.
Your back area is big. You have a walk-in and a freezer in here.
Yeah.
It's big time.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
What was the hardest part about the build out?
This place was built, I believe, in the 1920s. So there's black and white pictures of them building this place.
Yeah.
But there was rotting wood on the side. It was kind of like Flip My House, where they peel back layers and they see like
Just termites?
yeah. Oh shit, did you know you have this? So yeah, we spent a lot of money getting it right. Yeah.
How much over your budget did you go?
We went over I would say a good 150.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Yeah. No.
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 No,
I was
dude.
like, yeah, no. No.
How does Covina differ than Rosemead?
It differs a lot. It differs. I feel like the crowd here, I mean, our buddy Alistair said it's more Midwest. He kind of summed it up. In Rosemead, it's kind of more like second generation Asian kids, second generation like Latino kids that are more open to like food fusion and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Covina is more like Pepperoni Town, USA, right here. They don't. You tell them about your cool pies, but they're like, "That's cool. I'll have a pepperoni."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it is. And the first podcast, I told you I hate making pepperoni.
I know.
But I have to embrace it now.
It was like, what's your most popular pie? You're like, pepperoni. And then I go, what's your least favorite pie to make? And you say pepperoni.
Yeah.
Are you still using Lingua? Or?
No, I'm using Ezo.
Okay.
And it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make a greasy pie.
Are you using a cup and crisp?
No, I'm using the classic flat.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's real nice. I didn't know that they even had a classic flat.
Yeah, I forgot the exact
That's great.
name, but it's a classic flat.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, is that the reason why you've kind of your menu's gotten a lot smaller? Your Rosemead menu was crazy. I mean, like we talked about it the first time. You've gone viral multiple times because of your creations. You know, like the lasagna grilled cheese, or what was it?
Yeah, the lasagna grilled cheese that got in like Food Paradise. We get busy every time that airs.
Are you still doing that?
No.
No lasagna grilled cheese. I mean, the elote pie I always thought was crazy. Like I said it the first time, but it's like I see it a lot now, people putting corn on pizza, but there was like a lot of things you were doing. A berry of pizza too now is like, I see it all the time, but I had never seen a lot of these things. But you know, I guess we didn't get into this. Like you can have, your shit can go viral. You can get a bunch of likes, but does that always equate to business? I purchased a Gosney Arc XL recently, and the bake has been so consistent. The bottom heat of the oven and the actual arc just cooks the crust to a caramelized perfection. There is no other oven, in my opinion, out right now that is going to give you these same results. Whether you are in need of a new oven for your pop-up, or your dad's asking you, what is the best oven to make some homemade pizzas? Use our affiliate link down in the show notes. Smash the link. It helps the podcast. And more importantly, it helps you.
No, it doesn't, and I realized that. But it became like a high, like, what shit can I come up with next that I can go viral? Because we went viral here, so let's get crazy. But then those customers, they come in, they take a picture with the pizza. You don't really see them again.
Yeah.
They come from like, I don't know, Orange County. They're not going to be your regular customer. Yeah. So that's when we really dialed in on the menu. I mean, a big epiphany was when I went to Pizzeria Bianco. I actually met the man, like Chris, and his menu was only like 5 pizzas. Yeah. 5 pizzas. Yeah. And like maybe 2 apps and 2 salads, and that was it. And here I am with 75 items. and you know, it's, as I said before, this place is made or designed to decrease my anxiety. Yeah. So like when you have 75 items on the menu, and you're over here like busting ass making pizzas, and then you look down the line and you see kids like making pastas, sandwiches, and some kids walking around with like a saute pan on fire, and he like puts it in the middle of the parking lot so it would burn out. Like you're like, oh shit, like what's going on? So now we just focus on pizzas, wings, and salads. Everybody's in the same area. I can keep track of everything. Yeah. It's great. Like I feel. So you're not doing any pizza or any sandwiches anymore? We're not doing any sandwiches or pasta. I mean, sorry, pizza. Yeah. You're doing sandwiches or sandwich and pasta. Yeah. So would you say that Rosemead was designed to give you anxiety? Part of it was my doing, I feel like, because we had that whole mindset of like, have it your way, or, you know, we have something for everyone. Yeah. And that's what, you know, we did half and halves on pizzas. We don't do that anymore. You stopped doing that? Stop doing that. Yeah. Well, we do, if you do your custom, then yeah, but they would get like half a specialty and half another specialty, and like no cilantro on half. And then, hey, actually the onions go on one. Can you put it on the other side? Yeah, it's like a recipe to make mistakes. Yeah, and it was. And it got to the point where the back table would be filled with mistakes, and like kids would come in half an hour early and grab a plate, and it'd be like Cece's Pizza Buffet. They'd be like, I didn't eat before work because I knew there'd be all these pizzas here. Well, it's like fucked because when your pizzas are pretty intricate with like all the stuff that's going on, and like
when you're doing half and halves and you're on the line and there's a bunch of other orders, like it's the easiest pies to fuck up.
Yep.
Like we do half and half only if you get a hold of us or you're in front of us, we'll do it. Other than that, you can't get it. But like it's always the half and half that either like sticks to the paddle or someone fucks up. They're the worst thing to make. Like I think that getting rid of them is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. So I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy. That's why I got into the business. But now I have to be like, this is how we're doing it. This is what makes sense for us. We're doing a quality product. I mean, if you don't like it, then maybe there's another pizza place for you. Yeah. That took a lot for me to do that, because I was always into like, making people happy. Like, what do you want? Yeah, I'll do my best to make it for you. But that's not a sustainable kind of, way to do business now. Well, no, and that might be just like maturing, because I feel like I'm in the same place where it's like, oh, if this person wants this, fuck, fine. I got to like figure this out and put it on the menu. And it's like, then next week there's this thing that's on the menu that like only 4 people are ordering. It's great, but like it's not selling. It's just, it's weird because it's like you're in this industry that's kind of designed to tell you, give the customer what they want, and it's unhealthy because you don't really worry about yourself sometimes or the staff when you make those decisions. Yeah. And it ends up just being hurtful. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I ran my P-Mix on toast finally. I'm like, dude, what am I doing with this one pizza that we only sold 5 times this month, and we're all stocked and so, we cut the menu like 75%. Yeah. And how's that been? We've been disappointing some people. Yeah. But, they have to get used to that. But as far as the staff love it. Yeah, of course. I love it. We're going in a good direction as far as our streamlining the process, getting the food out quick, having a quality product at the end of the day. So. Yeah, and I guess like that's the better sacrifice, right? Yeah. Is like somebody might miss your pesto pizza or like whatever it is you stop making, but everything else is going to get better because all of these other things are gone. Yeah. So we can just truly focus on, I still have a lot of pizzas, but 2 course on the 7 pizzas we make. Yeah. You know what I mean? And make it the best we can. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you talked about like the main attraction was always like kind of the fusion or like the toppings or like what was kind of going on top of the pie. Yeah. When did you start like getting into your dough recipe? Because like I know you were hitting me up and I know that like you started geeking out a little bit more about it like maybe a couple of years ago. Yeah. Like what led you down that road, and like what made you want to get like really get into that? You know what? COVID changed the game. Like, did you get into business around 2009? I was around 2008, 2009. Okay. Yeah. So 2009, people were more interested in wood-fired, right? That was the whole wood-fire craze. There's a very big craze, yeah. Yeah, and then, obviously I'm not Italian, so I couldn't fake that I was authentic, but everybody wanted the most authentic shit, right? And then, so that went on, and then I couldn't compete with the authentic stuff, so I started going into fusion. And like I was learning from taco dudes on how to make the best al pastor and birria. I was learning from like, people with boba shops how to make a popcorn chicken pizza, like authentic Taiwanese. So I went down that road. And then when COVID happened, after COVID happened, I started realizing people were like, they were looking at their pizzas. They were looking at the bottom of their pizzas. They were like grabbing their pizza and seeing if it would flop. And I'm like, what's going on? They would look at like the little bubble holes in the side of the pizza. I was like, what is this? And I think most of it's influenced by like social media, right? Yeah. Like Dave Portnoy, like, what's a 7.1? What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Yeah, what does that mean? I have no idea. Does it mean anything? I don't know. To people, it does. Yes. Yeah, the bars to the Stoolies, it does. Yes. So I was like, what's going on? So I started looking at like Slow Rise. What is he doing? Apollonia's, like burned cheese on, crispy cheese on the side. That looks good. All these holes inside. How do I do that? because as I said before, I was more focused on the toppings. I wasn't focused on the dough as much. Like, dough was good. It was a good platform for it, but now like, you know, how to get the crispiest undercarriage, like what's all this? So I started deep diving into that, looking at what Noel was doing. You know, so I was kind of watching his videos and then asking people questions like, what's this? Like blending flours. What's this? Pre-ferments. Like, I've tried a Bika before, but what's the poolish? Like, I was getting into all that.
Yeah.
And so I did work with a couple of consultants, worked with Noel, but as you know, I've had a conveyor oven, and they never worked with conveyor ovens.
What time? When was this around?
When COVID ended, like
20. Well, I mean, has it ever ended?
Well, the height of it.
2022 is like when we were kind of coming out of it.
Yeah. So around 2021, 2022.
But you hit up. So you were thinking about using a consultant?
Yeah.
And how'd you find Noel?
A bunch of, like, I had a friend who was a chef, and he started like some restaurant, and he was working with Noel.
Okay.
So he turned me on to Noel. I was watching how Noel was doing his thing, and then from Noel, Noel was working with Lee Hunzinger, and like Pizza Champion and everything, and Lee had, you know, experience working in a restaurant for some time. So I was like bouncing back and forth.
So did these dudes come to Rosemead?
No, it was like Zoom. Zoom all day.
It was Zoom with both of them?
Yeah, Zoom all day.
So they never came into the shop?
No. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of money back then. They offered, but I was just like, let's do Zoom for now.
Uh-huh.
But maybe they could have helped a little bit more if they came.
I'd probably say probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I'd have the camera, and I'd be making the dough, and they'd be watching me and all that. And that's how that happened. But
you ran into an issue where they said that you didn't have the right equipment to make the pizza that you wanted?
In other words, yeah. That's where we hit the wall.
Yeah.
Where, you know, I love both of them, but I have a conveyor oven, and I don't have a spiral mixer. I have a planetary one.
Yeah.
And so you can't do high hydration. You can't get those big bubbles. And then in a way, in other words, it's like, well, I can't achieve what I wanted, what the customers are looking at now.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, shit, what do I do? So for a few months, I asked Tony G if he knew anybody, and you know, he did some emailing back and forth on how to get more higher hydration on a planetary.
TG?
Yeah.
You were emailing with the TG?
Yeah, I was like, dude, that guy's awesome. He gets back to you. He says hi to you out of a crowd. He's awesome.
I love that, dude.
Yeah.
I love that about, like, hearing that about somebody like that.
Well, I was one of his first students at his pizza school.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, in San Francisco.
My sister and I.
Yeah, you guys both went.
Yeah.
But does your sister still do pizza at all?
No, she's in ice cream now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In Covina?
In Rosemead. Yeah. Cold Stone Creamery.
Oh, she owns a franchise?
Yeah, she has a franchise, yeah.
Just one?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what you need. You need to fucking
ice
cream shop.
The royalties
right
are crazy, yeah. Oh yeah, an ice cream shop would be killer right here.
Yeah, just tack it on. More stuff, right?
Yeah.
So did TG do that for free, or did you have to pay?
No, TG was
the base
just like
god?
It's like how I talk with you, like, hey, what's going on with this dough? Like, what do you think? So it's just real casual.
Yeah.
Emailing back and forth.
And that's crazy. The man that wrote the pizza Bible, you can just DM that dude, and he's like giving you he's dropping dimes on you. If your sausage needs aren't hitting all the right notes, then let Maestro lead the way. Maestro has been working closely with pizzerias for decades. They produce sausages designed specifically with pizzerias in mind. And you can tell, their Italian sausage crumbles look like they were handmade in your shop, and they will taste that way as well. With over 80 years in business, family owned and operated, the family is incredible, and so is their product. It's quality sausage with quality ingredients. Click the link in the show notes. A classical masterpiece awaits you. Back to the show. Yeah. I feel like the problem with I feel like dough is such an intimate thing that like it does help to have somebody in person. Even this podcast, anything face to face is so much better than on a Zoom call or over the phone. You can only get so much out of a phone call. You know, I mean, dough is something you need to feel, you need to touch, it needs to be there. Yeah. And then I feel like, you're not, maybe it's not going to be as easy to get the like what you wanted probably with a planetary mixer and, you know, a conveyor oven. But I mean, you definitely can get what you want, right? Because you're achieving that now. Yeah.
So it brings me to the Pizza Buddha. I came across his podcast, and he was saying the thing that stood out to me is like, whatever you have, I can help you achieve the best product from whatever you have. Yeah. So I was going to Zoom call with him, and then my mom was all like, why are you Zoom calling with people? They need to be here. Yeah. Mom's always got the great advice. Yeah. Dude. So by getting him over, it really changed things up for us. Yeah. Yeah. We're making a tavern on a conveyor oven. We're getting like that nice undercarriage on a conveyor oven. Yep. And a planetary mixer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I came here last week or 2 weeks ago. I was like blown away by how crispy, and you have an airy crust. You're also using that TG flour. Yep,
the TG flour. We got to represent.
Dude, Tony probably slid in just to say, you know what's going to give you the dough that you want? You need that Central Milling 00 Tony G flour. Yep. Is that what he said?
No, but
were you using that flour before?
No.
Before you talked to him?
No.
But then he told you to use it, or did Alistair like it too?
Alistair, right. Yeah. Yeah,
he's in Alistair's back pocket. TG. It's interesting because I've seen that. I've actually seen like a lot more people using that flour.
It's been around for a long time. Yeah, I was using the Caputo 00 too. I actually like Tony's more. Yeah,
American. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
American made, brother. Yeah. Ford tough. You know what I'm saying. I'm wearing a Ford Motorsports hat today. When you went to Tony's school, was that, I mean, is he still doing that?
No, he's not.
Yeah, he stopped it, right? I heard great things about it, but you did you go in 2009?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that must have been pretty crazy. Like you said, like, people started looking at dough differently. They started looking at it like bread. Yeah. You know, like it took a long time here for people to start really nerding out. Yeah. You know, like I came up in a pizza shop for 6 or 7 years where I didn't even know what a scale was. It was weird to see a scale in a kitchen because like everything was just filled up to a black line on a 22 quart Cambro. Yeah. And then you used tablespoons for your salt, your yeast. Yeah. And that was it. Yeah. And like we would wonder sometimes why the dough would come out differently. Yeah. Because different people were making it. Uh-huh. Or like at some point I worked at a place where they just told you had like a serrated blade, and they'd say six full scoops of flour, and then just sift the top of it. I mean, like that's a crazy way to make dough, right? You know? Yeah. And so there was an evolution where people were like, I'm gonna scale, I'm gonna understand my baker's percentages. I want the big crumb. Yeah. I want the caramelized edges like Apollonia's. I need that Frico crust. Now everyone's saying words that I was like, I remember the first time I heard Frico, and I was like, what the fuck did that guy just call me, dude? Like, what is it? I had to Google it. Somebody might have even texted me like 2018. Somebody was like, hey man, that's a sick Frico. And I was like, you mean a caramelized cheese crust, my boy? But it's interesting because I feel like in the collective conscious now, like all pizza makers, whether you have like a rock box at home or you have 7 units, everyone's talking about what's your hydration, what flour are you using, you know, how long are you fermenting your dough?
So you went through that same thing, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I saw it happening, but I think that dough was like one thing that at other shops when I came up, it was like that wasn't really like the dough was great. but like the dough was great and that was it.
Yeah.
Never work on it again.
Yeah. That's
leave it there and like, let's just continue to work out our proportions.
Yeah.
So it would always be like, how much cheese should we put on? Should we add more salt to the sauce? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so
that's what I was focused on. Yeah. The dough, set it and leave it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got into, purgatory in the position that I got into, I was finally like, okay, this is my shop. I need to understand what the fuck's going on here with dough. Right. And I remember I tried every flour. I called people from Grain Craft. I used Caputo. I had people from Orlando come out. I was talking to as many people as possible, trying to understand like, what is a biga? Like people say biga and Polish now, like it's fucking, oh yeah, I know what that is. These are all things that I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was calling it biga and like, it was like, I don't know. So it was like, it was definitely the hardest thing to understand. And even when I talk about my dough, I'm so much of a kinesthetic learner where it's like all muscle memory and I have to do it. I have to fail. I have to figure it out. And like explaining fermentation, long fermentation, why a pre-ferment is good. Like in crude layman's terms, I can do it. But like, I'm not like Chadwick or like from Two Doughs or Chris Bianco who can sit there and write a fucking poem about fermentation because like the natural understanding is like, I'm like, well, there's CO2 and there's some gas and there's a rise, you know, and that's what matters. But I know how to do it, but it was a long process. Yeah.
Your pizza is great, by the way. One of the best ones I've had. That one you gave me, the thick one. Yeah,
it was like it's just like a square. We call it a cheese square.
I can't believe it was just cheese and sauce. And it was the best thing I've ever had. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, and that again, that's like, that was starting to just. I just wanted to understand dough, and now people use those terms and they're doing those things, but I don't think they understand why they're using them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're just using these things because everyone else is.
Yeah.
Even I was doing that. At some point, I had a dough recipe that had a Polish. I was using a sourdough starter and it was yeasted. And it was like, I was like, I'm just going for like a really deep artisan flavor. Like, and I was telling myself, I mean, the pizza was good, but I didn't need all that shit. Especially, what kills me is when I go into a pizza place and I see, or not, it doesn't kill me, but I'm like, what's your dough recipe? And they're like, oh, it's like a 24-hour fermentation, just a straight mix. And it's like one of the best pizzas I've ever had. And I think, why the fuck am I using sourdough? It doesn't have to be the most complicated thing. Yeah. I know you were using Polish and stuff too, right?
Yeah. I mean, now we're just doing straight mix and just, let it ferment like 3 days, 3 to 4 days.
And you're using
perfect.
A lot of time, a lot of temperature. I mean, your dough room is sick. that little dough facility is something a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
Like the temperature is fairly controlled in there. Yeah. And like you got like that water weigher thing. Yeah. That thing is dope.
Yeah. You got, I don't know if you can take some videos of it for the viewers for that.
We can do it. We'll definitely do a little B-roll action there.
Okay, cool.
What do you think like the main thing that is improved at this location that you never had at Rosemead was?
It's just, this place was the problem child for a really long time. And it was because we didn't have systems in place. Now we're using 7 shifts tasks. It was just everybody looking on the wall or writing on the board, like, don't forget this, don't forget that. So we started using 7 shift tasks where they, check off what they've done, or they can even take a picture of it. So that helped a lot.
So can you tell me because I know what seven shifts is, but what's the tasks?
The task is just like they have to download the app on their phone. Yeah. And then I'm pizza guy today. So they'll bring up a pizza closing checklist and it tells you what to do and you check it off. Or if it's really important, like turning off the oven, it's been left on a couple times. So I make them take a picture. And it's accountability. And it gives me peace of mind because when I'm at home, like, it'll send me a notification that they didn't do their checklist. I'm like, oh shit. Like, so that was great.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So that helped a lot. But as far as this place being problem child, we had a way younger crew. I don't know, nowadays, like, it's cool to not give a fuck, I guess. So that's but these younger kids.
I think that's always been cool.
Yeah,
like, it's always been cool not to give a fuck. You know,
they're like, oh, so and so is so cool, he doesn't give a fuck.
It's like, dude, that guy is so. It's cool when you're younger.
Yeah,
you know, but like when you're 40 and you don't give a fuck, it's like, yo, is that guy okay?
Yeah. So that was a red flag for me. Like, okay, I'm gonna watch that so and so guy now. Like, you know, but
what's your hiring process?
My hiring process was just like, hey, yeah, you seem cool.
Yeah, and you know what cool is? He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
hey, you don't give a fuck. You're hired, dude.
You're someone's friend. He's been okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but during that whole COVID and everything, nobody wanted to work in restaurants.
Yeah, I know.
So you
a lot of people didn't come back.
You just needed a body kind of at one time, and you're just praying the body would work out. Yeah. Pretty much. And that was my fault too, because I got stuck with a lot of bodies that didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with streamlining the menu, I could make this crew slimmer. We could run a busy night with maybe three and a half people, three to four people.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way it is now, it's less anxiety for sure.
How do you think those systems have helped your culture?
It's actually helped it a lot, because these people that come in, like the kids, the people that work for me, they want to do well. They want to do something, but they need direction.
Yeah.
So the systems provide that.
Yes.
Yes, because like they could be making like a bunch of ranch cups or whatever, or whatever, or boxes. We don't even need it, and they're just trying to look for busy work.
Yeah.
But now this gives them direction.
Yeah.
We have pars on different things. So I've come a long way, I guess, from 2009. But we were all trying to figure things out, you know, like what works, what you saw somebody else doing, maybe that'll work for me. But you know, we're constantly trying to figure things out. So I do feel the years in experience have helped. Yeah. And a lot of trial and errors, a lot of mistakes. Yeah.
Well, you only know what you know, or you don't know what you don't know, whatever it is. But I mean, the systems and like putting things in place and like all the technology that you can kind of use for checklists, like you're talking about, I think it's like, it's so easy to forget about all those things. And it's like, they're hard to implement, but like the positivity that it brings and how it affects your restaurant. Yeah. It's like, that you don't know about those things until either somebody tells you or like you read about them. You don't think like, oh, if I create a PARS list with expectations of each shift, which is a lot of work, right? By job, by day shift and night shift, it's going to affect my whole restaurant in a positive way. Everyone's gonna like working here better. There might be somebody who wants to push back, but in the end, they're gonna like it too. And everyone's gonna be much happier. Like you wouldn't think about all that stuff because we're worried about dough. We're worried about somebody coming in late. We're worried about our overhead. We're worried about all these things that sometimes the biggest thing, creating systems to help everyone out, it just kind of falls by the wayside. Yeah, so I've had to pull myself away from working in the restaurant and more on working on the restaurant. Yeah. So that's how all this came about, is me actually working on the restaurant than just making pizzas and everything else swirling around me and I don't know what's going on. And that's so important. And sometimes, and that's where I think a lot of anxiety comes from too, is because when you're in it, you can't see it clearly. Yeah. Because you're angry about somebody not coming into the shift, because now you got here at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning and now you're going to be here till midnight and you haven't separated yourself to be able to look at the business as something to be working on and not working in. It feels like a prison. Like, fuck, dude, I'm never going to be able to get out of this place. Yeah. And you can't fix it if you're in that mindset. Yeah. I mean, I've been there.
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm still there, you know?
Yeah. But it's great. The biggest win for me is like if they have a busy night and I didn't even have to be here. You know,
well, that is the win, dude.
Yeah,
that's the biggest win.
That's the biggest win,
and everyone
right?
feels good about it.
Yeah.
And you feel good about it.
Yeah.
And that's like what your fucking 16, 17 years of work, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to be an absentee owner. I think then like the caring about your staff and your team is really being able to let them grow without you there and have those systems that like you've put into place. I mean, you're like from your labeler to like the system, like, you know what I mean? Like, but you can walk in and be like, if I came in for a shift today, like first day here, I would know what to do. It's the kitchen's like well laid out. Like that takes years of experience.
Yeah. I have to give credit to Pizza Buddha Al.
Al's definitely helped out.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's definitely helped out. He's turned this place around for the better. He's a very intense person.
Very.
He was kind of like my weight trainer. He would talk shit to you.
You're not good enough.
Yeah, like it was
keep lifting.
It would be like boot camp working with him. He earned the title of Major Pain at Helipi.
I believe it, dude. He's also kind of tall and super loud.
Yeah, but he helped whip this place into shape, and so I gotta give him big ups for that.
Yeah. Well, I also wanted to shed some light on something that I've never really talked about because I don't know. We've shared a couple employees.
Yeah,
we never this never comes up, but like the pizza industry is kind of like an incestual place. I have now been in long enough to have a fair amount of my employees go, or team members, and really I should call them friends for the most part, like have gone and worked for other people. Like, you know, we've shared two, I think two, maybe three, but it's always interesting because I'm sure like you get a story or like you hear something or somebody said something about somebody else. I mean, does that stuff ever bug you when somebody goes and works for another person?
I mean, with the one,
we're trying to not say names.
With the one that worked for you before he worked for me.
Yeah.
He came at a good time. Like he came at a perfect time. Someone had just left. Yeah. And he was a pizza guy. And then he walked in and said he was a pizza guy that worked for you. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
So we just slotted right in.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
Yeah. So that was like the perfect timing.
Yeah.
So that's how, but usually I try to stay away from people that work at other places because you get that, well, we used to do it here. Why aren't you doing it this way? Because we used to do it here. I think this is a better way.
Yeah.
That gets annoying. And you can't teach an old dog new tricks or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, they're stuck in their ways and they feel like this way is the better way.
Yeah.
And so they will never like conform to your ways. And sometimes they do have good advice though. Like I will ask them like, well, how'd you do it over there? Yeah.
That's true. You know, like early on in my career, I felt like I actually learned a shit ton from employees that came from other pizzerias in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like there was a dude who worked at Two Boots and I learned a lot from that dude. Just like hearing how, because it's another thing, like we grew up in this industry when there wasn't this tight knit LA community that everyone talks about where everyone's hugging and slapping hands at Pizza Expo and having parties and like DMing each other. Like that shit did not exist, dude. It was a bunch of dudes that were like, don't fucking steal my recipe.
Yeah.
I'm the best pizza shop here.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
There was really not much community.
If you did reach out, they would give you half truths. They would just hold back something and you'd have to figure out the rest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I kind of learned. My first guy was from Sbarro's. We started making.
The hell yeah, dude. Yeah, that's why your shit's so fire, dude. That's that classic California.
From Sbarro's.
It's that real New York style.
Yeah. So we started off like kind of like Sbarro's in the beginning. Yeah. Because that was the main first guy. Yeah.
Is that my phone?
Oh shit, that's mine. Sorry.
Dude, you're blowing up. Everything okay?
Yeah, I'm good. So.
Your wife's like, you forgot the kids at school.
We have so many animals. We have like a turtle, a dog that we have to like watch out for, and they get into fights.
The turtle and the dog do?
Yeah.
Oh, man. What is that turtle out of his cage? Just
Yeah, they punk each other.
What kind of dog is it?
It's a half pit bull, half Jack Russell Terrier.
Holy shit.
So picture a Jack Russell Terrier on steroids, and that's
just
my dog.
Fucking beavered.
Yeah.
Just going after a turd, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What's the turtle's name?
Little Flip. Yeah, we didn't give him a Teenage
Damn.
Mutant Ninja Turtles name.
I was waiting for the Ninja Turtles Little Flip though.
Yeah,
dude.
Little Flip, the rapper.
Yeah. That's tight.
Yeah.
I think that I got one less question for you.
Okay.
And I know you've answered it before, so I'm gonna flip it up. This
Okay.
is what I've done on the, because you're the second person to come back on this pod. So what I'm gonna ask,
I'm honored. Thank you.
what I'm gonna ask is, I'll ask two questions. What is the best movie of all time?
I think I answered that the last time, no?
Did I?
Saving Private Ryan.
No. I asked you who was the greatest band or artist of all time. Saving Private Ryan. Damn, dude.
I like that. I like war movies.
That's an all-star cast.
Yeah.
Well, you were. Yeah,
I like how that guy was a leader. He was a real one for his crew. So I try to be that for them. You know, I try to do all the grunt work, and I wouldn't ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do myself. And so that's how I run this place. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you so much. I wanna go.